Let's talk Tanya for the 10th of Kislev of leap year. In yesterday's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe spoke about the idea that when we learn Torah, we are relating to and connecting to God's wisdom. Now, although everything in this world is a product of God's wisdom, the Alter Rebbe says that is true. But in Torah, God's wisdom is revealed, and everywhere else, God's wisdom is hidden. And in today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe uses some terminology which sheds light on what this means. The Alter Rebbe says that the wisdom, the divine wisdom which is within Torah, it is b'derech maiver, which means it passes through. Now we know that Torah also talks about physical things. So God's wisdom expresses itself in creation in a physical way, creates physical things. In Torah also, Torah talks about physical things, but nevertheless in Torah, God's wisdom just passes through, as opposed to in creation, God's wisdom, it encloses itself within creation. What is the difference between passing through, what's called maiver, or enclothing itself, which is called hislapshus? So the example that's used in Chassidus to explain this is, imagine you have an idea. You think about it, you process the idea, and as we know, if you fully form a new perspective and you process an idea fully, eventually what's going to happen is the idea is going to go from the mind to the heart, and a feeling will be created in the heart based on your understanding. Now that you have a new understanding, it's going to generate a new feeling. So the idea enters the heart, but now what comes out of the heart is not the idea, but the feeling. So right now you're involved in your feeling. Now at the root of the feeling is the idea, but by the time it gets into the heart and encloses itself within the heart, right now actually the idea is going to be somewhat concealed, and now you have the feeling. Contrast that with this same idea that you had. You sit down with a pen and paper and you're writing down the idea that you had. Now here the idea doesn't go to your heart. Instead it's going to your hand, to your fingers. But what is going to come out of your hands and your finger when you write it down is the idea. Why? Because the idea didn't enclose itself in the hand, it passed through the hand. The same thing is also when God creates everything is created through God's wisdom. But God's wisdom, in that instance, it encloses itself within the physical, which means that ultimately what we have here is a created being. And the wisdom is hidden. In Torah, God's wisdom passes through. So even though that we have over here physical concepts, but ultimately what shines over here is God's wisdom, it is not in any which way hidden, which is why when we study Torah, we are connecting to God's wisdom in a revealed way. Now, why is it that God's wisdom in Torah just passes through, and in creation it becomes enclosed? That will be the topic, God willing, of tomorrow's Let's Talk Tanya.